39 years, Kenya built no new major stadiums. 39 years, a generation of Kenyan athletes competed in facilities designed and built before most of them were born. Harambee Stars played in venues that had not seen significant structural upgrades since the Moi era. The country that produced Eliud Kipchoge, David Rudisha and Faith Kipyegon. The country that holds more world records in distance running than any other, had no flagship football stadium worthy of international competition. That changes now. On July 29th, 2026, just 1 week ago, Defense Principal Secretary Patrick Mariru conducted an inspection visit alongside Chief of the Defense Forces General Charles Kahariri and announced that the Raila Odinga International Stadium is now entering its final phase of implementation. Construction has surpassed 90.44% completion. The roofing is done. The facade of Kenyan shields on the walling is complete. VIP seat installation has commenced. ICT systems, broadcasting infrastructure and spectator amenities are being fitted. The main structure is finished. This stadium, formerly Talanta Sports City, now the Raila Odinga International Stadium, cost 44.7 billion Kenyan shillings. That is approximately $345 million, the most expensive sports facility ever constructed in East African history, built by the China Road and Bridge Corporation, supervised by the Kenya Defense Forces, designed with a capacity of 60,000 seats, 52 executive suites, a grass master hybrid pitch, and no athletic track. The first football-only stadium Kenya has ever built. And it is the centerpiece of a plan to bring the 2027 Africa Cup of Nations to Kenyan soil for the first time, after decades of watching the continent's biggest football tournament pass this country by. By the end of this video, you will have been inside every section of this stadium. You will understand what it cost, who is paying for it, what the controversies are, and the one question that determines whether it becomes Kenyan's greatest sporting legacy or simply its most expensive building. Stay with us. The story of this stadium begins not in 2024 when construction started, but in 2023 when Kenya, Uganda and Tanzania jointly bid to host the 2027 Africa Cup of Nations under the name Pamoja, the Swahili word for together. Winning that bid was the catalyst, but the vision was bigger than one tournament. Kenya had not built a standard sports stadium since Kasarani in 1987, 39 years ago. Nyayo National Stadium was completed in 1983. 4 decades of Kenyan sport had been played in the same two facilities, both aging, neither designed for the modern era of football broadcasting, hospitality, or crowd experience. A country that co-hosts an AFCON without a flagship new stadium sends a message about its ambition. Kenya decided it will not send that message. The design brief was specific and deliberate. A 60,000 seat football only stadium, no athletic track. This is a more significant decision than it sounds. Every major stadium in Kenya has historically included an athletic track, which creates a physical distance between the spectators and the playing surface, reducing the atmosphere and the viewing experience. The decision to build without a track means Kenyan football fans will sit closer to the pitch than at Kasarani, than at Nyayo, than at any venue they have previously watched football in Kenya. The row of 60,000 people with no track buffer between them and the players is a fundamentally different experience. The architectural identity is unmistakably Kenyan. The exterior facade features Kenyan shield and spear motifs worked into the walling, visible from a distance immediately recognizable in any aerial photograph or broadcast wide shot. When AFCON 2027 viewers across the African continent watch the opening ceremony at this stadium, the first image they will see is a building that looks ambiguously Kenyan. That branding decision is not incidental. It is nation building by architecture. The plain surface is a grass master hybrid pitch, artificial fibers stitched into natural grass. Then there is the transport solution that most people have not heard about. Getting 60,000 people to a stadium in Nairobi and back without grindlocking the entire city is not a simple logistic problem. The government's answer is the Nyayo Talanta Sports City rail link, a dedicated railway spur running from Nairobi Central Station through Kibera directly to the stadium. The July 29th inspection visit by Defense PS Mariru and Chief of Defense Forces General Kahariri gave us the most current interior access photographs of the stadium to date. Here is what 90.44% completion actually means section by section. The superstructure is complete. The concrete and steel frame that forms the ball, the tires, and the roof support is done. This is the hardest and most expensive part of any stadium build. The risk of structural delay is over. What remains is finishing the systems, the surfaces, the fit out. The roof is complete. The distinctive canopy covering all spectator areas, designed to protect fans from rain while maintaining an open atmosphere, has been installed across the full perimeter. This is significant for East African weather patterns. Nairobi's 2 rainy seasons would previously have disrupted outdoor events. The covered stand means AFCON 2027 matches will proceed in any weather. The Kenyan shield facade is complete. The cultural identity of the building, the exterior panels featuring the shield and spear motif, has been installed. Walking past the stadium on Ngong Road, you now see a finished building, not a construction site, a stadium. VIP seat installation has commenced. The broadcast infrastructure is being installed. The height of 54 meters places the stadium roof at a level visible from significant distances across Nairobi. At night, the lit stadium will be a landmark visible from the Ngong Hills to the Westland skyline. This is not simply a venue. It is a piece of urban infrastructure as defining to the South Nairobi as the KICC Tower is to the CBD. The stadium sits within the Jamhuri grounds, a site that previously hosted agricultural shows and open-air events. The stadium is not a standalone building. It anchors a cluster of facilities that together constitute Kenya's most concentrated zone of sports infrastructure outside Kasarani. Parking for 3,000 vehicles is integrated into the site. For context, Kasarani has approximately 2,000 parking spaces. The additional capacity combined with the rail link is designed to absorb the 60,000 person crowd without the grindlock that has historically defined major events at Kenyan stadiums. This is the macro file. We do not stop at the architectural tour. So here is the financial and accountability picture that the government press releases do not lead with. The stadium cost 44.7 billion Kenyan shillings before interest, approximately $345 million. It is being financed through a securitized bond of the sports fund, not direct government borrowing. The government packages projected revenue streams into marketable securities sold to investors, raising capital without increasing public debt. It is a sophisticated financial instrument, and if it works, a model that other infrastructure projects, including the SGR extension and the JKIA expansion, are expected to follow. But the control of budget, Margaret Nyakango, has flagged a payment concern that deserves attention. As of the most recent monitoring report, total disbursements to contractors CRBC since construction began in March 2024 stood at 21.97 billion Kenyan shillings, with a 6.97 billion Kenyan shillings payment expected this month. That would raise the total to 28.97 billion Kenyan shillings. That means after more than a year of construction, the government had paid approximately 49% of the total cost, while the stadium reached 90.44% completion. The contractor is significantly ahead of payment. More significantly, the Auditor General Nancy Gathungu has questioned whether the project presents value for money after identifying procurement and financing irregularities in her audit. The specific irregularities have not been publicly detailed in full, but the Auditor General's office raising this flag on a 44.7 billion Kenyan shillings project is not a procedural observation. It is an accountability warning. The completion timeline has been revised 3 times, originally scheduled for December 2025, then pushed to March 2026, then to July 2026. The latest update from PS Mariru on July 29th indicates the final phase is underway without committing to a specific new completion date. Each revision has added cost through contractor financing. CRBC does not work for free during delay periods. Those financing costs are borne ultimately by the Kenyan taxpayer. Every new stadium faces the same fundamental test, not how it performs during its opening tournament, but what it becomes in the years and decades after. History offers both warnings and models. The 2010 FIFA World Cup in South Africa left several stadiums that became expensive maintenance burdens on municipalities that could not sustain them. Cape Town Stadium, which cost 4.5 billion rand, has struggled to attract enough events to cover its operational cost. The iconic Moses Mbida Stadium in Durban has been more successful, becoming a multi-use events venue. The difference in their post-World Cup fortunes came down to one thing: how integrated they were into the surrounding city's commercial and cultural life. The strongest model for the Raila Odinga International Stadium is not South Africa, it is Wembley and the Allianz Arena. Wembley in London, rebuilt for £757 million and opened in 2006, hosts the FA Cup final, England internationals, NFL games, major concerts, and corporate events year-round. It is operationally profitable. The Allianz Arena in Munich hosts Bayern Munich matches, the German national team, and a calendar of non-football events that keeps the building active 300 days a year. Both are profitable because they were built with corporate hospitality infrastructure, executive suites, premium lounges, naming rights agreements that generates revenue independent on match day. The Raila Odinga International Stadium's 52 executive suites are the critical element. If those suites are leased to Kenyan corporations on long-term agreements, as Wembley's 166 executive boxes are, they generate recurring revenue that funds the stadium's operations regardless of how many matches are played. Whether the Stadium Management Authority builds those relationships proactively will determine whether this At the start of this video, we promised you the one question that determines whether this becomes Kenyan's greatest sporting legacy or simply its most expensive building. Here it is. The question is not whether the stadium will be ready for AFCON. It will be. At 90.44% completion with the main structure done, the stadium will be operationally ready for the June 2027. The question is what happens on June 19th, 2028, 1 year after AFCON, when the television cameras have gone, when the continental spotlight has moved on, when 60,000 seats need to be filled by a domestic football league that has historically drawn a fraction of that number. when a 44.7 billion Kenyan shilling bond needs to be serviced from the revenue the stadium generates. If Kenya's football ecosystem, the FKP Premier League, Harambee Stars home games, regional tournaments, grows into this stadium, it becomes a catalyst. If it does not, it becomes a monument. The stadium is ready. The question is whether Kenyan football is ready for the stadium. That is the legacy question, and only time and the Football Kenya Federation can answer it. If this gave you a complete picture of what Kenya is building and why it matters beyond the tournament, this is what we do here at the Macro File. We go deeper than the headline, follow the money, and find the system behind the story. Subscribe if you have not. Share this with every Kenyan football fan you know. And if you want the full picture of Kenyan's infrastructure ambition beyond the stadium, our video on Kenyan's 10 mega projects, all 6 trillion Kenyan shilling of them, is linked on the screen right now. I'll see you on the next file.